there was many times as I was going again in the clubs or drinking, I can feel these forces around me, literally laughing at me and oppressing me with some voices. Started hearing voices, and it felt like hell. And I was like really being tormented in the spirit. I was like, what's going on? Like, and I went really in a dark place. I was so dark, I was so depressed.
Steph, a very warm welcome to you. Very excited for your story. Where does your story begin?
So my story begins, so basically my name is Stefan Jankovic. It's a Serbian name. I come from Serbia. And my story begins, so I was a guy who was living in Serbia, living that street life, going into the clubs, basically fighting a lot, being violent and drinking a lot as a 17 years old boy. So that was my literally lifestyle every day, drinking and just getting drunk all the time. So we were running the clubs and things like this, and I was really good with women. I was really famous in my city. Quite a while they knew my name. They knew Steph, a playboy with all the women. So literally young boys, they wanted to be like me. So I had that power to get women, and they really liked me. So as I was going that journey, trying many stuff, a little bit of drugs, but mostly drinking. And there was a point where I was finding a lot of pleasure in this experience and thinking, oh, that's everything I want. And all of a sudden, I started having these thoughts and glimpses. Hey, what's going on in the world? And many times, I was just ignoring these thoughts, but they kept coming daily. But I was just ignoring it and just living my life, sleeping with women's older than me. So it was really kind of my lifestyle that many young guys wanted.
When you say these thoughts of what's happening with the world, what do you mean? Like who's running it? What's going on? Or
yeah, who's running it? Because I felt a lot of darkness in many areas, and that something has to be. There's a dark force behind it, and I started researching about the sect, how to gain more power. I started having these thoughts to literally contact these sects and literally do all these rituals to gain a lot
more power for yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying in the lead up to this phase, you were having like some nightmares, sleep paralysis, evil spirits. So the spirit world was real for you.
Yeah. I started literally all the time having sleep paralysis. It's kind of you're 50 awake and 50% you're like asleep, and feels like I'm sleeping and I like wake up and I couldn't move, and I can only see with my eyes, and I see this dark figure literally standing in front of my bed, and I can feel the frequency and the presence of this being literally try to suck my soul out of my body. And I remember I tried to speak the name of Jesus. I don't know why it came, but I wanted to say it. And it was really hard to say, like, in the name of Jesus. I was really fighting it because the feeling is a force. You know, when a force tries to suck you out, that kind of spiritual feeling it was. So I said it in the name of Jesus, and he went away, stop. So many times, nights like this, I started experiencing and seeing figures. When I would sometimes at my home alone, seeing dark figures like shadows passing out of my room, like literally.
Got it. So those experiences led you, I'm going to assume here, to believe that there's possibly spirits behind the world, powers, something like that?
Yes. I started.
Gotcha.
That started really opening up to me. Oh, okay. There's more dark forces. It's real. And I started having these thoughts of desires to really want power of the spirits. So while I was having these desire and thoughts, one of my good old friend that I used to go in the class with, his parents were part of a sect, and telling me how you get power, how you can get influence through, and I was alone researching, you can get influence through many specific demons that can give you power in specific areas. Wisdom, money, women, like a lot young boys want. So I started having these really crazy daily dark experiences with these spirits, I would call them at that time. So, but I felt all the time while drinking, I was in a dark place. I can call it in a dark realm where I was fighting my pleasure, these feelings, and the spirits gave me feelings of depression, what I believed it was a good feeling, but it was not. I was feeding off of it, and the spirits were feeding off of me. So basically, as I started going, I started having these glimpses. Hey, there should be something really good, not just a dark force. So then all of a sudden, on YouTube, I started seeing from other people talking about Christ and the Bible. And that's where a seed started being planted into my life. Like I thought, oh, this should be for sure a God, right? So as I was having these thoughts and these videos appeared on YouTube, having these thoughts of, okay, is maybe Jesus real? And I was being convicted, just my heart starts to react, my soul, my being, about Christ. And I'm like, oh, that's something is happening. I never experienced this. So there came a point, because literally I didn't have any church, any pastor. Serbia mostly is just an Orthodox country. So I never had a pastor, nor I was any kind of part of a church. But as the nights were going, I started being convicted to ask Christ. Like I started having the desire. I want to ask Jesus in my life. And there was no people to force me. You have to say it and things like this, like knowledge in some churches we have. But literally from the heart, which a father, he wants our heart. So he's the one who will convict our heart. And that's what literally happened to me. So there was one night I was about to go in a restaurant with my old friend. So before that night, I remember so clearly I was outside and I was really saying myself, now I want to say a first prayer in my life to invite Jesus in my life. So I remember that night, moon was shining, stars, and I was standing outside of my house and I started saying, Jesus, I ask you to come into my life and change me, fill me with your spirit. As soon as I said that, this wind, this spiritual wind full of love came into my being that made me really, I was at that time, I can say, high on love. This feeling, this presence I never experienced and I couldn't find in any pleasure that I was fighting through women to fulfill my emptiness in my belly, through women, drugs, alcohol, fighting, and this feeling I couldn't find nowhere. I was searching in many areas.
Yeah, earlier we talked about, this is a very interesting something you shared with me earlier, that you had a relationship, and I believe it was prior to this moment, where you really got broken and your trust in that person was broken. Do you want to speak a bit about that as you continue to this Christ moment? Because I think this is a very key thing for a lot of people. Their trust in man, in life, or woman, whoever it is, can fall before this Christ encounter can take place. Could you maybe just talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So as I shared it, was saying that prayer, Jesus came, his spirit, he filled me, and it was really, whoa, what is this? So I never experienced that feeling, spiritual love feeling, good feeling. I started to understand the Bible, okay? I got the Bible from an old friend of mine, and I started reading it. I started trying to understand with my natural concept, with my natural mind. And I couldn't. I said, okay, I don't understand. It doesn't feel more alive as it was in the beginning, like the love I experienced, like the first love. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna go away. I was literally finishing high school at the time. I said, I'll go. I better be again living that old lifestyle I lived. So I went back, found a girlfriend for the first time being in a real relationship. I never was in a relationship. What do I mean by that? Loving relationship was only just having fun with women. There was no relationship. So that's my first time ever relationship. And it was six months with her. And I fell really in love with her so fast. I didn't know I was dumb. It was so fast to give all my trust to her so fast. And yeah, I thought she's going to be my wife. So literally she was everything to me at that time and my focus. And there came a point she left me. And when she left me, all my trust got broken. Like literally, when a world falls apart of you. So that's how it felt. And I was like completely empty, completely like a deep void in my belly. I was like, whoa. And I fell deep into a depression, again into alcohol, into my past addictions. So I was really completely broken. I didn't even want to speak with anyone. I was really closing myself because it really broke my heart. I thought that person I really loved and put all my trust just went away. So as I was really being broken, depression, it was an awful place, a dark place. I can feel the evil spirits oppressing me. How do I mean by that? So there's times as I was continuing my journey, being broken from the relationship I had. There was many times as I was going again in the clubs or drinking, I can feel these forces around me, literally laughing at me and oppressing me with some voices. Started hearing voices, and it felt like hell. And I was like really being tormented in the spirit. I was like, what's going on? And I went really in that dark place. I was so dark. I was so depressed. And I learned, that many of us like to put trust in a man or a woman or in other person. And learning from that experience, you can't put the trust on limitly, but if you put all your trust, there's always be a person who gonna mislead you or do something wrong, because we can't just rely on other people, right? So it's fun to find a perfect man or a woman that will be always fit our void that's inside our belly, fit the pleasure that we seek all the time. So me coming out of this, I was in a dark place. I was really being angry, fighting again. I was really angry at God. Why I went away, and I'm more broken as I used to. And then, as I was living my lifestyle, all of a sudden on YouTube, a guy named Dustin, his name on YouTube, Street Ministry 7, his name is Dustin. He started appearing and talking about Christ. He was doing these live streams, talking about the intimacy with the Lord, which I never heard about. And I was like, okay, I started feeling like a fiery presence out of this man as I was living for the devil, right? Living in these acts, living that lifestyle. But at the same time, daily, he started out of nowhere appearing on YouTube, talking about the intimacy and the drink with Jesus and the heavenly experiences with Jesus. And I didn't know why I was listening. Something drew me to him. I didn't know why at that time. I was like, why I keep listening? Something isn't what he speaks. Something is coming out of his words. So one time I asked him on a live stream, I made a comment. I'm living again. I was backsliding 1 year. I don't know how to come out of this place.
Backsliding, you mean like back in the clubs, back in?
Yeah,
so you're asking him, what do I do?
Yeah, what do I do? I really feel God will never forgive me. I'm really punished, or I'm not for this. I was thinking I'm not for this. And he said, just repent. That's it. He made it so simple. Just repent and come to God. And that's it. He made it so simple. You don't have to do this or change or buy this or do certain things. So, because at that time I had a different concept of grace that God has for us. I had a different God that he's waiting to punish us for every little mistake we do. So he made it so simple. And the way he said it, I was like, something moved in my spirit. So I said it, I repented and things like this. I came back to the Lord, trying to live again my life with the Lord, and started listening to that guy. And he spoke about that intimacy with the Lord, to build that intimacy with the Lord. And I started practicing it. So, like Jesus said, seek the kingdom, which is within you. And that's what he spoke all the time. Drinking with Jesus, finding pleasure with him, face to face. And I didn't understand it at that time. But I kept listening. I said, okay, Lord, I'll humble myself and I will do it the same as he said it. And I started doing it. As I started doing it, just going away from everyone, being alone, just being in that stillness, to wait on the Lord, to wait as I would start practicing it, to be silent, to silence my thoughts, to silence these thoughts, these racing thoughts that we always have. And I started learning to calm my mind. I can call it in a meditative state. And it was hard. Flesh was coming in the way. Like, it's ridiculous. What are you doing? Don't do it. Things like this. And as I was practicing it daily, I just started having kinds of tingling. It's like electricity feeling over my body. Because I was really having that desire. I want the intimacy with the Lord, to seek him truly. But I didn't understand. That's the thing. Keep in mind, I didn't understand it, everything. I didn't have any answers. But I kept doing it even without understanding. I put all my trust. I didn't give up. As I was doing it, trying to be silent and seek the Lord's presence, the flesh was always fighting. Until there came a point where it clicked. It was a day where I was really calming my mind and really seeking the Lord, where all of a sudden, like boom, like a crack opened the veil, like the temple, because we're the temple, right? We're the temple of God. So the Holy of Holies is inside of us. And that's what I was trying to do. And there came a point like it cracked open, like my flesh really died. And I started having these feelings, spiritual feelings coming at me, of coming all over my head, these feelings of ecstatic feelings, I would call them. It's a spiritual ecstatic feelings that I never experienced.
Ecstatic, like joy, like what? How would you just expand on that?
Wow, like joy coming out of my belly, coming out of my being. And the feelings of it, it's so amazing. It's out of this world, literally. It's not in this realm. It's not a normal joy or me pretending to laugh. It's a supernatural experiences coming out of me, like joy and peace coming at me, like heavy. Like imagine a heavy cloud comes at your face from sometimes, and it's like this. And I started having these feelings, like my senses open up to these feelings, heavenly feelings, I will call them. And then from that moment, I started understanding when Paul says, I'm dying daily. So how do you die daily? Like, when we look at the concept of the temple of God in the old days, in the Old Testament, there was a priest, if you will go once in a year in the temple. So you go in the temple, and before going into Holy of Holies, you have the veil, which is called the door. And when you enter in the Holy of Holies, you will meet with God face to face. And that's what happened to me. And I started understanding when Christ really meant seek the kingdom. And that was first thing he said, what should we do? So I started doing it and I made it possible. And he helped me during my day. These feelings started getting stronger and stronger as I was doing, because keep in mind, it didn't happen overnight. It happened me willingly putting my life to the altar, you can say, to go in. And that's what happened. It took me a few months until boom, Jesus literally started appearing in many visions in many ways in my life. So that intimacy grew stronger, and the love, I started recognizing the love of God, his presence. And from that, I started discerning things, what is from God and what's not from God. Most of us, we're taught in different churches, you discern by words, but not, it's literally you discern by knowing Jesus' love, which is his presence, whatever comes in your way, and you will know it, you will feel it. So I started having these feelings, and I started having supernatural feelings. So I'll share two. One of them is, it was summer. So it was summer, and there was no school, summertime, nobody wants to go to school, and there was many nights I was staying late at nights till 4 in the morning, till 3 in the morning. And all of a sudden I was on my computer just doing my own stuff, and I started hearing these knocks 3 times outside of my house, like boom, boom, boom. And I look up to my window, and on my window I have fences closed. I started seeing these blue lights flashing, like, and me seeing that, I was frozen, because literally I can see it with my own eyes. And then it stopped, and again 3 times, 3 knocks, boom, 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 and again this blue light. I can describe it in the words of, it's a blue light a color you can't find in this world. It's like a blue light out of this world. It's a supernatural light. And it was radiating out of it. It was a blue roundy light, and it was radiating. It has a radiation out of this light. It was so interesting. I never saw it. And he was like blinking at me, like woof, woof, woof. And I'm like, whoa. And it happened a few times. I was scared. I'm like, what I'm seeing, like, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, whoa, I was frozen. I was standing looking, and I was like, what should I do? Seeing that, I never saw this in my life. And I had a couple of nights like this, and I didn't have any answer for it. And then the Lord spoke to me. It was an angel, and angels sometimes can appear in many forms, like orbs, so they can appear like this. So I was literally being visited by angels in the beginning of my life. And my relationship grew stronger. I started having visions and dreams with the Lord. My life, supernatural life, became a lot bigger. I was reading the Bible, but I made a difference. What's the Bible and what's encounters with the Lord personally, face to face, which I started having, and I was really blessed. So I'll share one big one that I had with angels, because we all been taught angels. We're excited hearing about angels, right? So my first time ever experience with angels was in my room. I was with my good friend from Germany. We were doing at that time video calls on WhatsApp, just going to the worship. We're going into the glory, I would like to say. And it was a night that I didn't plan to do it really a lot, because I was about to work in the morning. So it was 9, 10 o'clock or 11, something like this. He called me, hey, let's go in the glory. Let's soak together. Okay, let's do it. As we were doing it, I was laying on my bed. I had my phone at the left hand. The presence of the Lord started getting stronger and stronger and heavier and heavier. And he came literally on me so heavy that I couldn't move. It became so strong that like, whoa, something is about to happen. It was a kind of feeling like something is coming. My senses were woken up, like my spiritual senses. And man, as it was getting stronger and stronger, the realms, spiritual realms were opening up. Wow. Wow. I have goosebumps, like literally now. So, the realms started opening up around me. And you know the feeling, imagine close your eyes. You know the feeling that, you're alone in your room. And the feeling of someone is in your room. That kind of feeling, strong feeling I had. And I could feel it and sense it so strong that I never felt ever before in my life. And it became so tense that I started getting a bit scared, like, whoa. I started saying to my friend, his name was Lucas, like, hey man, like, someone is in a room. I was scared. They're like, someone is in a room, like, I'm not alone. And it became so tense that in a point, my spiritual eyes opened up, literally at that point. And as it opened up, it was like, wow. It was like heaven opened up in my room, like this portal opened up into my room, this realm. And I see this angel really big with the sword coming down. And as he was coming down, that was interesting. He carried a presence with him, and this presence had a sound. It was like the sound of a warrior high rank angel coming down. As he was coming down,
your spirit could sense that. You just knew that without anyone explaining it. You could just know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was literally seeing it and experiencing it and hearing it at the same time. Coming down like this presence of the sounds coming off him. And as he came down with the sword, I felt the sound of like judgment off him, this war around him, this warring presence on him. And as he came down, he looked on me, like literally happening, was literally happening in front of me. It was like a realm opened up in my room. So me seeing that, even with my eyes closed, me seeing that, he came to me, he had a scroll on me, he had a scroll on his hand, and he literally put it inside of me. A scroll that's literally, he reached his hand and just put it in me. And telepathically, he was saying, that it was for the realms that he will give me access to. It was so weird. I never experienced these feelings. It was not like we talk now, but like a spiritual telepathically. You can engage with these beings, with angelic beings. And as he put it on me, literally above him, other people appeared. I would say beings. I could see people in white robes, right? They were all white. They had white beard, sitting in king's chairs, right? And there were many of them pointing and talking towards me. And the way they were talking and pointing towards me, I felt they were waiting for this moment for a long time. And me seeing that at the same time, my flesh was so scared. Seeing that, I was terrified. I was literally shaking because I was never prepared for this intense. It was really tense for this intense moment. And they saw I was scared. The angel and this, I will call elders. At that time, I didn't know, but they were elders. They saw I was scared, and they were waiting for this moment to show themselves to me personally. And they saw I was terrified. I was literally shaking. It was too much for me. And then they just disappeared, like, shoo. like the portal closed. And I will describe like this. The sense someone being in my room disappeared. And it was my biggest ever, most quiet silence I was having at that moment when they disappeared. It was so silent, like no one was there. It was a complete silence. And so at the same time, I was on the phone with my friend and just finished the call straightly. I said, hey, I have to go. And it was too much for you. I was standing, I was stood up, I was sitting on my bed. I was burned out. My flesh was burned up. It's like, what did I experience now? And it was too much for me. I was completely in a shock state. I just slept 2 hours. At the same time, I was about to wake up and go to work. So I just slept 2 hours. I couldn't even sleep. So I woke up. There was a guy, a friend of mine. We're having breakfast and he wanted to talk to me. I didn't want to talk with anybody. I was literally burned out. It was too much. And he literally said at that night, he heard a cracking noise because he was living. He had a room near my room, and he was literally hearing cracks he was scared. He was literally hearing some crack noises during the night, and he was scared. He didn't know what to do, right? So he told me that, and he telling me that. I'm looking into his face. Okay, that was real what I was experiencing. I was like, what?
I'm just going to chime in here because I was actually on the same property as you when this happened, on another side, long distance away, and I felt it, and it was intense. And I wasn't even in the room, and I could feel it. I was like, whoa.
Wow. Yes. It was really, it was my first I thought it was a dream or something. I was not believing it. And then he said he felt, he heard these noises, I was like, okay. For sure it was real.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. It took me, I was working, finished work, and I was sleeping the whole day, and saw John. He said he felt it too. And I was like, man, wow. Makes sense when the angels, when you read the scriptures, right? When the angel appeared to the apostle, they say, don't fear. So it makes sense. So for the first time, it can be fearful because if it's for the first time, you're not prepared, really. It can be too much, like it was for me. So it gave me a different concept. What's the concept? So a lot of us, we have a fear of the devil or fear of evil spirits, right? Like they're like stronger than us and things like this. But man, I'll be honest, the angelic beings and the angels, being around them is much more scary than these evil spirits. Literally, if it was any kind of evil spirit in the room, when I was encountering that angel, you couldn't stand it. I'll be honest.
But it's like a healthy fear, right?
Healthy
fear. Different
yes.
type of fear, I would imagine.
Yeah.
You're saying.
It was a healthy fear, not of, we should be scared or they will kill us. No. It's a healthy fear of, whoa, they have so much ranking on them. They have so much potential because we have a different kind of angelic beings. But this special being of angel was, I believe, at that time, telepathically knowing it was Michael or Gabriel at that time. So I didn't know about much of them a lot. I didn't have any knowledge, but telepathically, just my spirit came. My spirit sensed, I don't know, it was a feeling my spirit sensed Michael or Gabriel.
Sure.
I'm like, okay.
So, Steph, a young guy ruling the clubs, doing this, young guys who are into these worlds now, into these things, and they're watching this, and they're kind of curious. Maybe they're questioning their lives. What would you want to share beyond what you've already shared from your heart, your spirit to them? What could you perhaps share as we begin to wrap this up?
So, Christ and God, they're so real. they're much real as we think, because they're spirit. God is spirit. Why? Nowadays we have a lot religious things, religious teachings around every corner that make that life living with Christ powerless. Literally, it gives a different concept of who Christ really is. It gives a concept. It's boring. They're just hypocrites. They're just, dry. There's no life. They're just fighting, this and that. But no, there's a life beyond the cross. Remember that. We come to the cross, but we have to be willing to go to the other side of the cross where Jesus ascended, right? So we don't stop at the cross. We're being saved. At the same time, we can pass to the other side of the cross and experience that life, supernatural life, daily with the Lord, with Jesus, which is an intimacy, which is He can fill it with such love that your soul and your being were searching all day long. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter what practices, Satanists or witches or warlocks or whatever you're doing or living that street life. You're searching for something. You're thirsty, but you're not knowing it. You're just not in the right place. But until you experience Christ's love and His presence, believe me, you will understand and have the full answer and bigger picture, because that's what your being is all the time searching and wanting to, because that's the only thing that can fulfill your void inside your belly, because we all search in different areas in different life, but we literally are searching for God. So He's real as it can be, and He really loves, He wants to expand His loving presence on every man and every woman and every kid and child, because He's really loving and He's really real.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.